I'd had the dream from the age of 12 of being a Beatle. And that involved travelling the world and playing to millions of people around the world. I spoke to a class of about 40 or 50 in Wellington a few years ago on the subject of split ends. And then one of them asked, why did you leave the band? And I said, I had a phobic disorder called agoraphobia. And in the end, it beat me and I had to retreat and I left the band. And this boy looked about 14, 15, looked up at me and said, I've got that too. And I still communicate with that boy. He's now about 20. He wrote a song and went on our CD, a beautiful song, but a troubled song. Songwriting to me is the great escape.
My thoughts are drowning on this incoming tide.
In terms of saying things that you need to say and that are exorcisms.
Caught in the waves that I thought I could ride.
About what you need to actually get out of your system.
Pulled underneath by the fear inside.
Maybe if I'd been a songwriter, I wouldn't have been agoraphobic for 18 years.
Sometimes it feels like you just should hide.
The literature on it is all about sweaty hand, you know. Oh, my heart's going at 160 beats a minute. Which, yes, that happens, but I don't care about all that. For me, it's the absolute sense of terror. I found that very difficult to explain, a panic attack. They need to be flung into a place of terror. That's the word, terror, not fear. You know, fear is fear. Terror. And then they'll understand. The best way I've found is, I'll say to something that they intuitively, inherently are very scared of. So are you scared of spiders, like big spiders? God, I hate big spiders. Okay, blink. Now, you've opened your eyes to this room is completely covered in spiders. What would you do? And they go, run. I say, okay, run out the door. And everywhere you look is covered in spiders, so what do? And in the end, they realised that they would just go into a small ball like a cornered rat and just hide from this world of spiders. And I said a panic attack in someone like me with agoraphobia, searching for that place to go, there's only one place to go, I can't get there. And so those spiders are all there, but they're invisible. Couldn't resist. The sad part of this whole story for me is that I didn't have a name for it for 8 years. So I just thought I was mad, and I didn't work out the pattern of the attacks. If I'd kept a log or something, I would have noticed I never had one in Auckland. Whenever split ends flew into Auckland, I'd always be in a really good mood. Go inside my parents' front door and just love being there. But I see now that was because Auckland was my safe haven. And if my parents happened to be living in Christchurch, I wouldn't want to have gone to Christchurch to see them. So it wasn't until I read that article in a magazine. Phobic disorders, went through them all. And a lot of them are easy. Arachnophobia, fear of heights, we all understand that really because there's a physical side to it all. But then they talk about agoraphobia, a fear of leaving a place where you feel safe. And I thought, that's me. Well, this is a biggish one. Also, it plugs in. So when you play live, You're plugged in and it all goes out through the PA and you can walk around. You didn't have to have a microphone on it. New strings. Can you tell? And then we've got Barney's guitar. The Martin Baby has more of a baby sound. But then, there are all these sing-along instruments, always done in a social situation. I never play guitar on stage, but this I do. This is my bass. It's not very loud. Someone said to me once, how do you make it loud? It's a bit like a car with no engine in it, so you plug it into the big amplifier. The bass for me is all about playing with people on a stage. I couldn't stand to be on a stage alone with an audience wanting, or maybe being made, to listen to me play the bass. In fact, I wouldn't walk on the stage. I went to a psychiatrist who said, it sounds like something you'll probably get over. So I thought, I'm out here alone. So I just kept it secret. The panic would be that I'm trapped here in Wellington. I've got to get back to Auckland right now. You can't. You're doing a show in about 45 minutes. So I would just disappear, hide in the corner of the theatre, waiting for the show to start. My father was a doctor, and that's how I managed to survive in the bands. For the time I did, I would say, I get scared on stage, Dad. So he'd say, stage fright, yeah, it's a problem. So you should take these tranquilizers. And so I had close to 20 years of tranquilizers. But it's like having this big sort of heavy blanket thrown on you. You know, if you're in the van travelling around London doing 30 shows in 33 days with us, I would have been the one nodding off on the back seat. So that the joy of the brotherhood was kind of robbed from me. The joy of the music was always there, and the joy of the stage performance, because we were one good live band. In 1992, I got a job running opera in New Zealand. And I thought, this is going to be interesting because I'll be needing to go to Australia probably 4 or 5 times a year for discussions and seminars and retreats and all of that. And I went over there and I was driving a hire car along Military Road and it left me. I felt it go. And I thought, this could be Queen Street in Auckland. This could be anywhere. I don't care anymore. You know what I think it was? I thought for the first time in my life, I can support my family. In the band days and all my life right through until I was about 40, I used to dream of having $1,000 in the bank. And all of a sudden I had this job and representing all the songwriters in New Zealand. And I think I've finally reached somewhere where there's a security for my family. I can be a good father. And it left me. Tuning. I love talking to people. So doing the Like Minds Like Mine TV ads, it's been a while, 10, 15 years since they came out. I've been stopped 20 times in the street. This woman and I are crying in the street. There are some people out dying out there. And they haven't told anyone. The best one was in the bank, in the teller. Hello. She looks at me like, and I say, are you okay? I say, thanks for doing the TV ad. I go, as I always say, are you okay? And she says, no. So we're crying. The funny part was the queue that built up behind me. I had to turn around and say, sorry guys, this queue at the bank is quite long. So we've got things to talk about. So she and I talked. Imagine going to a bank and standing at a teller all day in a state of fear, It's all going to change. Everyone's going to talk about it. But it's best face-to-face. Face-to-face is incredible. Music's the ultimate collective bringing together of people.
Hello? Mike?
One, two, three, four.
You're there, you're watching me. You showed away, leave me free.
We're putting together a song for the Paralympics because every nation, I think, should have a sporting song, let's call it, to represent what lies behind the purpose of those games, which is a national unity, taking on the rest of the world. My old friend Paul Fitzgerald, who went to school with me and played drums in my band at school, and ended up living in Paris and writing songs. And one of them he called Long White Cloud.
It's really important. Okay, 3 notes there.
I'm very, very dedicated and in love with my country, you see. And so to have a song that represents the emotional connection we have to those Paralympics in Brazil next year, it had to be a New Zealand song.
Just go through the chorus again.
And it has to feature New Zealanders who might have just turned the corner. Come in and sing it with us. And so the musicians, the people arranging it, then they're not people who are held up in lights or celebrities or any of that stuff. It's not a celebrity fest. It's not We Are the World. It's Long White Cloud, and I think it's going to turn out really, really well.
And if we did want to include some singers, then we could have a small group singing the chorus at the end. That's sort of what I was thinking.
Whoever they may be, it'd be really good to have people who either A, are confident, or B, can take direction and be good and quick in the studio. Otherwise,
That's right.
Who's Natalie?
Natalie Powers. I went to Takapuna Grammar years ago to talk about songwriting, and there were all these students, and I said, okay, I'd like to hear an original song from someone. And they all basically went, except this girl at the front who said, I'll sing one. Can you show me where the piano is?
Joking.
No, she's blind. And I led her.
Oh, bless her.
I led her over to the piano, and she sat down and she sang out some song. And she was on our CD, I don't know, 2 or 3 times over the years.
Okay.
And I had a year of mentoring her through a disability system thing.
And good,
She's a great kid. She's amazingly confident.
you've got a voice here somewhere?
Yeah.
There's no pressure.
I'm searching.
It's not about looks, it's not about race, it's not about gender, or whether you're gay or straight. It's not about how you have your hair, or the clothes that you wear. You don't have to be famous to get you anywhere in life.
Love it. What a voice.
Wow, fantastic, actually. Really nice.
Nobody change you.
Hello?
Is that the one and only Natalie Tapar?
It is indeed.
Mike Chunn here, Play It Strange. Hello, old friend.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very good. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, you too. You too.
A good friend of mine from school, that's many decades ago, has written a song called Long White Cloud. And our good friends at Attitude TV are going to record it and launch it on World Disability Day at the Attitude Awards. And it's also going to be the official Paralympic song next year in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And we want you to sing on it.
Really?
Well, there'll be quite a few of you singing on it, but we want you to play an integral part. It'll be at Roundhead Studios and actually not far off. So if you're keen about it, we'll have to get together and start talking. But you and I have always managed to talk quite well, haven't we?
Yeah. I'd absolutely love to.
Good
I
on
would
you.
absolutely love to.
And you'll love the song. It's a beautiful song. Long White Cloud.
I definitely. It sounds gorgeous already. Oh my God! Holy! That's wonderful. That is so exciting. Oh my gosh. To be a part of this recording is, I mean, Mike started me off with all the recording stuff, really. He showed me, like, he inspired me to submit my first song, and that got me into the studio and doing all this kind of thing. So it was, honestly, it's like, man, I have so much respect for him, man. I have so much respect for Play It Strange and what they do. Sometimes love can be hard to figure out. Mike realizes that there are people out there in schools that just love writing songs. And for me, I did not know that Play It Strange existed before he came in and talked to our school.
Well, I'm one of the lucky ones, really, in that I get to listen to hundreds of songs written by secondary school students every year.
Shall we all salute each other?
But also we put on shows, because performance is as important, I think, as writing a great song. So we're talking about songwriting, and I guess, so that brings us to the word song. And what is a song?
Holidays.
That's if you have global success with your song. You will have a holiday for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Your chances depend on how ambitious and hardworking you are, how talented, how imaginative, and where Lady Luck comes into the equation. But a song is two things. It's words and music. Well, Play It Strange exists to shine the spotlight into schools and to bring to a national awareness the great songs that are written there, because there was no mechanism for that. The mystery of music completely fascinates us. We don't know why 3 notes in a row make us want to jump up and scream and shout, because it's something that we've known and will love for the rest of our lives. And if you play them in reverse, it means nothing. So you put something that's very tangible and part of our day-to-day life, words in with music, which is that magical world. We just whittle them down to a top 40, and then they go to professional studios. By putting them in the studios, they come up with amazing recordings because they have it in them to be excellent. They just need that door to be unlocked. The words of songs need to make you want to, 1, keep listening, and 2, find something special in the story that they tell you. What do you think of the intro?
It sets the tone, like what the song, like
Cool.
the action of it, the song.
Wind's fingers play with my hair.
Now that's a great opening line. The wind's fingers play with my hair.
Wind's fingers play with my hair. The smell of bitter lingers in the air. The rain falls dark in my skin. In sudden droplets kiss in the ground of when you will begin.
Or some people hit golf balls and they always veer out to the right. I just like being in really cold water. And if I get on my board and bob out behind the wave, it's the perfect escape. No one can touch me out there. There's every chance standing here that someone could come up and go, What's been happening, Mike? Now, how's your week been? But out there, the only thing I've ever had come up and talk to me was a dolphin who was literally 2 to 3 inches away from me. I said, well, stop. He came back. What do you want? I said, what's it like down there? He said, we like it on the big days when you surfer guys smash, we think it's funny. I made that up. But the dolphin was there. For a fraction of a second, you think it's a shark. There's an end to the story, which will lead you to believe that I'm a complete fool. Late 90s, I got it back again. I then went for the first time in my life to see a psychologist. And he said, that first panic attack, there was no drugs, it was in Wellington, you know. That first panic attack, you were vomiting, diarrhoea simultaneously. You couldn't control a thought for a fraction of a second. I said, that's all right, all of that. What was going on in your life? I said, I was in a band, and then I started weeping. And to cut to the chase, we had played a show in April '74 where I thought, split ends, we have the perfect band. It was called The First Buckethead. We triumphed magnificently. And then things happened. My brother, he was on drums and I was on bass, and we were a bloody good unit. He left. Bob Gillies, my dear friend, left. Phil Judd came back in. There were tensions, and I thought, this isn't going to be the same band. And I'm weeping, telling him all this. And he said, you were in a deeply weak psychological state, and all you did was just break one of those links in your chain. And he said, now you've come to me with it again. What is happening in your life now? And I started to cry again, because I had been asked to do a particular project that was so stressing me, so deeply stressing me. He said, can you stop that project? And I said, I'm not going to do it. He said, okay. Well, there's absolutely no reason for you to have agoraphobia. And I looked at him and I blessed that man. Out his door, and I've never had it since. An agoraphobic, I think, has to have a rock, someone to hold on to. You know, so if ever I was travelling alone, I would be by far much worse than if I was travelling with Bridget.
In those days, it was a very private thing, so you couldn't say to anyone, actually, I'm feeling terrible, this is my problem, I actually have to go. It was, you had to keep it all, so you had to kind of make excuses and, you know, to try and cover it up. I mean, hopefully, it's not like that now.
No, well...
People are much more understanding and open to talk about it and accept it.
Maybe someone who really knows about these things could say, oh, well, you're cured. But I don't know if I am, really. I always think, well, it could happen again.
Long black, thank you.
Very kind.
And maybe it's like a recovering alcoholic. You know, you're never kind of cured. You never say you're cured.
I think you're best to presume that you're not. I don't have sugar. No. I feel very good. Oh, this is where I come to be alone, because as you can see, there's no one else around. I'm a people watcher. Yeah, I love people. I imagine the lives of each one of them. So there, that person there, are they happy? Are they glad to be living in this suburb, in this country? Would they rather be somewhere else? What do they do well? What do they do badly? Are they using their capabilities as much as they should? I think, I wonder if they go home and play the piano. And if they don't, why don't they? And I wonder if they can play the guitar. And if they don't, why don't they? Because I had this thing that, in fact, I was standing in front of about 200 or 300 intermediate school kids one day. And I said to them, how many of you got a parent that can play the guitar or play the piano? And probably 10 or 15 put their hands up. How many of you have a parent that drives a car? And every one of them put their hand up. And I said, you should go home and tell your parents that it's actually harder to drive a car than it is to play the guitar. Shall we stop that one there and ask them? Do you wish you could play an instrument? And they all do. But they're never going to start trying. Why not?
So we're just heading into Round Head Studios and we are going to record the vocals for the track Long White Cloud.
So this is like the control room in here. Jordan. Hello. This is Natalie.
Hello.
She's our singer for today.
Hi, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
The number one thing to do is lay down all the master vocals and then go for all the harmonies and all the gorgeous stuff. Hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody.
You're
How are
such a
we?
camera hog, mate.
That's me.
Camera hog.
How are you
Hello,
doing?
friend Natalie. You're good.
Doing great, doing great.
Callum, welcome back to town.
It's good to be here.
Let me give you a hand. That's the little pop sock.
Oh, yep, there we go.
And the mic is right behind it. That's like about $1 jillion worth. So.
Yeah.
And my hope for this track is that everybody in New Zealand knows it and that we have stadiums of people singing it. I'll tell you a little story about the song. Okay, got enough tape? Here we go. Jordan Luck is the main judge in the Play It Strange songwriting competitions, and every year I put one in that isn't a song from a school kid, just to play with him. And I put Long White Cloud in with his 100 and whatever it was songs that he was to listen to. And I met him. I go, what are the top 40 this year? What are we going to record? He said, I've got a winner. I said, what is it? He said, Long White Cloud. So he had that as a winning song. That's what I thought. Also thought, well, if Jordan Luck thinks it's a winning song, we're on a winner. I think that someone will be singing this in 50 years' time.
I'm liking it.
Attitude was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.